Hello and welcome out to another exciting episode of This Week in Geek. It is I, not Birdman, but Alex the producer here, flying solo as Birdman has had a very busy weekend. As you've probably seen on his social media, he's been doing tours of the university and meeting with a bunch of different people in different departments there because he's trying to enroll to go back to school, to go to university for the first time, because he's done college a few times, but he really wants to get into I believe it was law school, some form of advocacy, really further his ability to do community advocacy. And that mixed with other commitments that he's had has built for a pretty busy last week or two. And we're planning to record together today or tomorrow at a later time. And it's like, he goes, Alex, I've got this many hours to go and I've got to leave at this time and I might be home at this. And I'm just like, dude, I'm going to take it solo. Don't worry. We've only got a few news stories this week. We've only got a few weird news stories this week. I may as well do it some solo work here because I already had all the reviews ready to go for the show anyway. Birdman has reviews in other programming coming up, but he wasn't going to get one into this show anyway. And I thought, well, if I've got everything, I may as well do the show. But that's it. So as far as like what else is new, I have gone and seen Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. I took my mom as a belated birthday present for her because she really liked the first one. I took her to see that. Oh, what was it, 2019 the first movie came out? So had a bit of a refresher. Luckily, that movie does do a little bit of a refresher at the beginning to get you into it. Had a blast. We actually had the whole theater to ourselves. We went at just the right time where there was nobody there, and we sat where we wanted to sit, but we were able to talk throughout. Like, usually we try not to talk too much, but like she couldn't remember certain parts of it, and I had to sort of refresh my memory. I was able to pull my phone out, a big faux pas usually when you go to the movies, and quickly look up certain things, but there was literally nobody else there. So it was a private screening that we ended up doing, so I wasn't disturbing anybody else. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done that, but that was fun. Fresh popcorn, had a good laugh. My mom loves horror movies as long as they're not too gory, and she loves horror. She loves like action thrillers and mystery movies, and like her favorite movie series, it's like one of her favorites is Final Destination. Again, doesn't like it too gory, but she loves the kills and all that sort of stuff. So that was Ready or Not 2 was a good outing for us for that. I will be seeing, fingers crossed as long as weather holds out, I'll be seeing Hail Mary this week, and then the following week, again, fingers crossed as long as everything works out, I'll be taking my brother for an early birthday present for him because his birthday's at the end of April. We're going to go see the Super Mario Brothers movie, as long as it's not too sold out or busy or whatever. But yeah, that's sort of what I've got lined up that ways. I also have this coming weekend for Easter weekend, I'm not doing much because I have a sleep study to go to, which is essentially you get all hooked up to wires, they check you. It's just basically to assess where I'm at when it comes to how I'm sleeping with my CPAP machine after 10 years or so in. It's time to get a new machine, but to get a new machine, you have to get a new study done. So we'll be doing that. That'll be interesting. And I'm not sure if we'll be able to record a regular show or if Birdman has to fly solo or if we record before or after, but it happens to be right around the time that we would normally be recording. So we'll see how that goes, plus the long weekend. But that's it. We're going to jump out of here. We'll go to one of my reviews. I'm not sure which one we're putting in, but when we come back, we'll be able to start right with the shortened. Again, we're going to have 2 stories instead of 3 of the geek news, and then we'll have 2 stories of the weird news, and there's some interesting ones here, that's for sure. So we'll be right back right after this, right here on thisweekingeek.net. Alex, the producer here, and our friends over at Acclaim Incorporated. Yes, Acclaim, previously known as like Acclaim Entertainment, back in the 90s, one of the most prolific, I guess, third party and some for like licensed games and some original game companies back from our childhood, announced a little while ago that they were back. New owners, relaunch, producing indie titles, all that fun stuff. And this is, I believe, the first game that we've had a chance to check out from them. They sent a review copy on PlayStation of Basketball Classics for us to check out, and I had a chance to play around with it. It is a little bit of like 8-bit / 16-bit / modern pixel art is the best way to describe it. Somewhere in between what you'd see on an Atari and something that you see on a Super Nintendo is the best description, but at a much higher resolution because the pixel characters can be much smaller on the screen because, you know, you have much more real estate of pure pixel count that they can work with. And then when you're doing things like dunking and that, it switches to a higher graphics mode for the individual pixels. It's still pixel art, but then it goes to like a more detailed look when you're doing that, and then it sort of jumps back into the cool little pixel character designs. The pixel characters are not, and sprites are not so small that they become undetailed. They're just small enough that you can still make out some details on them. It has your standard like side-scrolling, like you see most of the play area, but as you go across the screen, it does scroll with you, and it's popping up on the screen with things like notes and like comments and things that, like, when you're dunking or throwing, it'll give you things like blocked or pass. That sort of stuff pops up. Pretty sweet overall. It's a 3-button gameplay design. So again, back to the arcadey like NES and Super Nintendo era style or arcade style of gameplay. Decades of different rosters. There's 175 or more teams in this. 1,000 more players with individual attributes for each. There is different cutscenes, as I mentioned, like when you're doing special things or like you get a 3-pointer or like a half-court shoot or something, it will cut to a cool little cutscene playing. There is a story mode for the single player, which unlocks different secret teams as you beat it and go along with it. There is local multiplayer, so I had a chance to play a little bit with my brother. That was pretty fun. One of the things that they did mention, and I wanted to make a note of it, is part of like their marketing is no virtual currency, no pay to win, no microtransactions ever. So this is, a slight, against and a little poke at the modern licensed sports games, where that's basically what they've become, is just microtransaction city. So this is, a pay once and play forever fun experience. I had a pretty good time with it. I'm going to play probably a fair bit more, pick up and play games as I go along. It's not just available on PlayStation like I was playing. It's also available on Switch and Xbox and PC. And if you do play it on PC, you only need to have a dual-core processor with 4 gigs of RAM, and like integrated video will play it if it's modern integrated video. And that, works on Linux even, so it's like, if you have one of those portable, like a Steam Deck or an equivalent, it's going to play no trouble. You can play this on most laptops and PCs. If it's even remotely modern of the last like 7-8 years, you'll have no trouble with it whatsoever. So, that was surprising. I'm glad to see that Acclaim is back, and I'm hoping to see more from them. There's a lot of interesting titles like this that I think they could be like sort of a bastion of the like indie scene as they swing back in. And maybe, I'm not sure if they still own some other IP of their own, but if not, they could build themselves up around titles like this, because Basketball Classic is pretty fun.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This week in Geek
News. Beep, 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 beep. It's time for the regular Geek News. So what do we have? We have a couple of stories here. The first one is brought to us by Kotaku, which is interesting because Kotaku has, as you know, turned to shit in the last few years. A lot of drama there, but occasionally, in between all of the clickbait guides and advertising garbage, they do occasionally get an interesting story pop up there still. So, as reported on by other sites, but also specifically in this case, Kotaku Birdman grabbed this. Epic Games lays off an employee with terminal brain cancer who can't get life insurance now. So there's a bunch of stuff going on. It was fun for their. This is okay. So last week, Epic Games announced it was laying off over 1,000 employees to, in quotes, keep the company funded. One of them was Mike Prink, a programmer who has been at the Fortnite maker for just under 7 years. Over the weekend, his wife, Jenny Griffin, shared a Facebook post that Prink was facing terminal brain cancer and would be losing his life insurance due to the cuts. She said, "My husband, Mike, was recently laid off along with over 1,000 others at Epic. What makes this different for our family is that Mike is currently fighting terminal brain cancer. Because of the layoff, we didn't just lose income, we lost his life insurance. And because this condition is now considered a pre-existing condition, he can't get new coverage." This is a very American problem. A problem worldwide, but this is a very American problem. The message, because I mean here, life insurance is life insurance, but the medical coverage itself, like he wouldn't lose coverage for the treatments here, and you wouldn't go bankrupt for that. The life insurance, it would still be a tricky issue, but there's certain slight differences in what happens legally in terms of how you're laid off and stuff too here. The message had a brain scan image attached to it that showed an aggressive growth in the frontal lobe. Griffin told Kotaku that Prink had frequent medical appointments and had previously taken paid leave. His condition wasn't a secret to that company. Everyone he worked with knows. Her Facebook post quickly spread to Reddit and X, where large Fortnite news accounts began tagging Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney. "Are you happy now?" one read. Epic Games did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Griffin told Kotaku that the family is currently trying to obtain the needed documents and hopefully find contingency clauses in the paperwork while they talk to life insurance providers. She's also been weighing whether to launch a GoFundMe campaign. That, in my interpretation, is that's probably going to happen. But doesn't know if they should wait until they have more info or if by then it's a little too late. "We should be spending every possible moment treasuring the time we have left, as tumors are actively bleeding into Mike's brain." Oh goodness, that's awful. But instead, we have to rush and try to figure out life insurance as fast as possible. At any time, Mike could have a third major event and become unresponsive. At that point, he would not have the ability to track all this stuff down. In his original post announcing the layoffs, Sweeney said employees based in the U.S. would receive severance pay for up to 6 months, accelerated stock options vesting, and extended Epic paid healthcare coverage. And Mike is not just a number. Many company benefits packages also include life insurance policies that provide payouts to families in the event of someone's untimely death. With those policies lapsing, many people can buy life insurance directly through providers, but someone with Prink's medical condition wouldn't be eligible. Life insurance payouts are often used to cover not just the funeral expenses, but to provide a cushion to help weather the loss of a person's income. "As I face the reality of losing my husband, I'm also facing the reality of what type of funeral burial I can afford," Griffin wrote on in her Facebook post. "How will I keep a roof over our heads? How will I protect our son and the life we built together? What will happen to our dogs? I truly believe that if people who made this decision understood the human impact, they would not have intended this outcome." And my own interjection is that's probably true. Nobody wants to see this happen. I don't think this was necessarily malicious. You were just a ticker box on the thing, and they didn't realize that this would necessarily happen, because nobody wants this kind of bad press either. While much of Prink's work remained internal, he also helped with Epic's Inside Unreal tutorials that were posted on YouTube. One guided tour of gameplay ability systems posted back in 2021 has been viewed hundreds of thousands of times. Griffin told Kotaku that Prink had even pursued specific treatments for his cancer to prevent memory loss so that it wouldn't interfere with his work. He really gave everything to keep our family protected and only to be laid off at the last minute, she wrote. Griffin asked anyone connected to Epic Games to share her message with those in the company who might be able to do something about the situation, and everyone else to signal boost where it's possible. Mike is not just a number, he is a father, a husband, a person deeply loved, she wrote. We are running out of time, and I'm trying everything I can to protect my family while I still have him here with us. And there were updates to the site. It's mostly back and forth, social media posts. There hasn't been anything like official yet, but this is mostly, Birdman picked this, I'm going to assume, not just for the sensational aspect of it, but for the topic piece of, this is something that people don't realize. This is a side effect or something that can happen. You know, when you're laid off, you think, oh, they'll find other work. Well, what if somebody was already sick and the company, you know, for all intents and purposes, it was intended you were going to be there till you're gone because you're not going to be here much longer, and the insurance is going to pay out. This is not on Epic itself. It wasn't like Epic was going to have to pay out an insurance policy. Epic would have had something. Most big companies like this have something in their clauses that when somebody dies at work, there is something paid out extra as a bonus, or, you know, out of your stocks or something. You get something out of it. Even 20 years ago, I worked at companies that were like that, where when there's a death, if you pass away, there is some sort of fund that goes towards the family. But this was through the insurance company. So this is not like laying him off absolved Epic of some extra fees they were going to have to spend. This is just not necessarily well thought through. They just sort of went through probably a personnel sheet and went boom, 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 these people are gone. So, but it brings up the wider question is, what do you do in a situation like this, especially in the States where medical expenses are just not covered, right? You know, your work pays for it, but that's it. There's not really, it's not like Canada or most other first world countries where there is there's a minimum level of care that everybody gets to have. There just isn't really that without going bankrupt, right, in the States. So, I can see us covering the story further when more information comes out. I fully predict that there will be a Kickstarter, or not Kickstarter, a GoFundMe or something to that extent. And they're not going to reverse the case on him, but I could see maybe Epic, to try to save face, working with their lawyers or somebody to try to work out something for this individual. So we'll see from there. And our other story here is not as sad or dour. This is retrospect by superherohype.com, and it is Star Wars Empire Strikes Back memorabilia fetches $1 million at auction. An iconic item for Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, sold for a staggering sum of money beyond its estimated price range at a recent auction. It set a record for being the biggest sale of the event, outselling items from other iconic franchises. Notably, memorabilia from the epic space opera series has a history of fetching impressive sums of money at auctions. Darth Vader's lightsaber, for instance, once reportedly sold for $3.654 million, while the X-Wing Starfighter sold for $3.135 million. A light-up C-3PO head from Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back reportedly sold for over $1 million at prop stores in March 25th auction. Due to this, it surpassed the sales of items from franchises like Jaws, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Top Gun, and Batman Begins. The item had an estimated price range of $350,000 to $700,000 and went well past that. According to the listing, the item is said to be the only original from Empire Strikes Back to make it into the collector's market. An auctioneer affiliated with the auction house revealed in a YouTube video breaking down the head's features that it came from the family of a crew member who worked on the film. The head, whose dimensions are 25 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 32 centimeters, so a little less than a foot by 2/3 of a foot by a foot. So it's not that big, is composed of three major components: a backplate, a faceplate with installed eyes, and a neck rig. All these are fixed together with 2 neck bolts, and a forehead antenna. Moreover, it is made out of a thin fiberglass, ensuring it is close-fitting and lightweight. Furthermore, the head's components were cast into the fiberglass. Special care was taken while designing and the illuminating photoreceptor eyes so as to not blind Anthony Daniels, the actor behind C-3PO. Black material was inserted behind the lights to protect the vision, thus leaving small ports for him to see through. The right eye retains the original wiring. However, the left eye's wiring has been changed, now connected to a newly installed battery pack and a switch on a custom-made display stand. Meanwhile, the faceplate, backplate, interiors include the numbers 6 and 5 written in black pen and ink, respectively. C-3PO, along with his constant companion R2-D2, holds the distinction of appearing in all 9 mainline Star Wars films. Yeah, this is not surprising that they are at a point where that is the franchise that gets the most money at auctions. You have to go with, like, first of all, rich people that are Gen X. It's not going to be a lot of the boomers. There's going to be some boomers that pay for that, but a lot of the stuff that was the most popular previously, it's going to be aging out. Star Wars has sort of that universal appeal. So for the next, I'd say 10, 15, 20 years, you're probably going to see Star Wars memorabilia as the most popular stuff still. But it's things are only worth what people are willing to pay, right? So as millennials and Gen Xers are right at that point where they have the kind of money. So it's probably a Gen Xer that bought this, loved it as a little kid. Or a boomer who was a teen or early 20s that saw it. But we're going to get to a point where movies from the 70s and that, it's shifting towards the 80s, and late 80s and early 90s stuff is going to be what becomes the most popular and what retains its value. But again, only if people have money to spend on it. Millennials and Gen Z people Gen Z, Gen, whatever you want to say, do not have the kind of money in general to spend on this. Only the uber rich have that kind of money. But it will be interesting to see. So that is it for a very short news week. There wasn't a lot that we wanted to cover necessarily, just a couple of things here. So we're going to take a quick break, go to one of my reviews, and then we're going to come back very soon with the weird, wacky, and just plain fucked up stuff that happens in our weird news. So we'll be back right after this. Alex, the producer here, and our friends at Capcom have sent a Nintendo Switch review copy of the Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection. This is actually the first time that I've had to check out this particular side story franchise, whatever you want to call it, offshoot of the mainline Mega Man games. I'd heard of them before, but I had never ever really had a chance to play them. It was sort of released at a time when I wasn't playing either that style of game or in general a lot of stuff that was from that generation that wasn't like big hardcore JRPGs or like Mass Effect style realistic games. It was just sort of it was a little off for the original release time. So I missed it. There's a whole series of them. I also missed the Battle Network games when they came out. It was sort of at a time when I wasn't playing stuff like that. So what do you get here? Well, you get all 7 games from the Mega Man Star Force series. It's also available on other platforms. I played it on the Switch, obviously, but it is available. If you want to pick it up, it's pretty much on everything. It's on Switch, PlayStation 5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S / Xbox One, which is becoming less, you're seeing less and less Xbox One and PS4 games, so it's, available there, also on PC, Steam, and obviously on Steam, and that it plays basically on a potato, so you don't have to worry about like having a high-end PC to play it. Now, as far as language support, you have Japanese, English, traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese for the text, and the voices are available in either Japanese or English. It's one player. There is 2-player online. You can play with it as well. But I mean, it was pretty solid. So I sort of jumped in. I didn't play every game in the series because that would have taken longer. But I would say I gave myself a sample. I played a little bit of Mega Man Star Force Leo. I played a little bit of Mega Man Star Force 2, the Ninja one. I played a little bit of Mega Man Star Force 3 Red Joker. So I wanted to sort of jump around a little bit and try them each. And I can say this, the emulation or whatever they're using here works pretty darn well. There's more to it than I was expecting. Gameplay, pretty fun. We're not going too deep into like, individual storylines or anything, but I can say this, it is pretty good. And you're getting a good value here. That's probably the better deal. Like they've done a lot of these legacy collections for the other parts of the franchise, like the regular Mega Man stuff. As I said, the Battle Network one. I've been pretty happy with what I've seen from each of those releases before, and that continues on here. The presentation, you're not dealing with like blurry graphics or anything. The fact that the way they've handled the graphics blowing up from what was originally a very slow, low-end resolution, it blows up and plays, fine on my television. Obviously, it's a Switch 1, so it maxes out at 1080p, and I'm playing it on a 4K TV through my Switch 2, but the way it scales is perfectly fine. It doesn't appear blurry. The text is easy to read. Audio doesn't feel very compressed. There's no input lag or anything. The art style complements the game. It's just very straightforward and fun. If you're a fan of the franchise, I think you'll have a good time with it. If you're completely new to it, like I was new to this sub-franchise or sub-series, I went in going, am I going to like it or not? I had a pretty good time with it. So I think, should this be your first Mega Man game, as an all-encompassing title? Probably not. But it doesn't really matter if it is. It's just, it might be a little jarring if you've heard a lot about Mega Man and you're expecting an action game, and that's not exactly what this is, obviously. That being said, super fun, easy to pick up and play. You get 7 titles in it that you can sort of jump around with. That's dozens and dozens of hours of gameplay, and I think you'll have a pretty good time with it.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
It's time for the weird, wacky, and just plain messed up stuff that we pull up for the weird news every week. We've got 2 stories for you here. Let me think, did I grab both of these? Or no, Birdman grabbed one, and I believe... I grabbed the other one here. I usually try to grab a couple of interesting ones. But the first one, interestingly enough, also on Kotaku. We talked about one of the stories earlier from Kotaku that Birdman grabbed. And this one is that K-pop Demon Hunters has some McDonald's meal items. I still haven't seen it. I didn't think it was going to be for me. It's had such the big response and phenomenon out there. I guess I eventually have to watch this movie, right? So I'll get to it eventually. But here is what the article stated that Birdman got here. Apologies to the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but your McDonald's collaboration is getting immediately overshadowed by a new K-pop Demon Hunters one starting next week on March 31st. As of this recording, that'll be tomorrow. The crossover riffs on the animated musical story of 2 warring pop bands, the girl group Hunter X and the boy band Saja Boys. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm sorry. Again, I haven't seen it yet. By featuring 2 adult meals, one based on each group. The crossover also includes photo cards and first access content, in quotes it has there. The meals are variations of your typical McDonald's food, but with flavors from McDonald's South Korea restaurants. The Saja Boys have a breakfast meal, while the Hunter X one is available the rest of the day. Here's the rundown. There's the spicy Saja McMuffin, a sausage McMuffin with eggs topped with a peppery, spicy Saja sauce inspired by the fire of Guima. Sure. Again, apologies ahead of time. I'm going to get all the names and stuff wrong because I don't know the pronunciations. I haven't watched it. Hash browns, signature hash browns, crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, just like Saja Boy's leader Jinu. Small soft drink, your choice of a little soda pop. For the Hunters, the Hunter X meal, and more. So basically, the Hunter X meal, same thing. Spices and stuff that are different. That's kind of neat. Though these are technically not kids' meals, I can see kids flocking to the McDonald's multiple times in search of the photo cards. They're not toys, but there's something tangible that lasts longer than lunch. All of this coming a bit late considering K-pop's Demon Hunters is nearing its 1-year anniversary in June. But Sony and Netflix clearly weren't ready for how big the movie was going to become. A sequel is officially in the works, though, and I expect the rollout to be much less scattershot. This was a very short story, so I might see live if we can grab a third weird news story to talk about. But as it stands, that's interesting. It kind of reminds me, I know they've had like adult Happy Meals before. They used to do that where it came with like a chocolate bar and something else. And it wasn't a lotto ticket, was it? It was a chocolate bar and something else, maybe? I'm not sure. Back in the day, they used to do that. It's interesting. There's no way this is overshot. As big as Demon Hunters is, let's be honest, Mario is much bigger with adults and kids. So it's interesting that two things are happening at once. I'm not sure if it's going to be in Canada. This looked like it was the States only, but we'll see. The other news story that we grabbed here, that I grabbed before we get into maybe searching live for another one, is brought to us by Dexerto, and it is that there's a new study that shows googly eyes can stop birds stealing your hard-earned food. So let's get into it. A new study has found that sticking googly eyes on food packaging could help deter seagulls from swooping in to steal your food. Researchers from the University of Exeter tested the idea as a way to deter gulls, which are well known for snatching food, especially in coastal areas where large amounts of takeout are consumed. Eye-like designs make gulls hesitate, according to the research, which is documented in The Conversation, found that gulls were less likely to approach and peck at food when packaging featured eye-like markings. In experiments, birds were slower to approach and less likely to peck at containers with eye-like stimuli compared to plain ones, suggesting the effect can act as a deterrent. The idea builds on existing research into animal behavior where direct eye contact is often seen as a sign of threat. Where gulls think they're being watched, they appear more cautious about taking food. Researchers have said the trick was observed reducing the chance of gulls stealing people's food. Previous work in the same university had shown similar results, with gulls taking longer to approach food when they were being observed by humans in flesh. While the googly-eyed trick isn't foolproof, researchers found it could still massively reduce the chances of food being stolen. In a study where 30 gulls were presented with takeaway boxes with and without eyes, researchers found that over half the birds never attempted to approach the former. The findings offer a simple and low-cost way to deal with the problem and has become increasingly common in seaside towns, even if there's not a guarantee that you won't be forced to fight for your food. Now, this, makes sense. We've had scarecrows for hundreds of years, right? So I could totally see that being something that, I guess, certain towns you get a whole bunch of stickers of googly eyes, and maybe it's something that your local seaside town would put on, like their produce, like their different things. Sure, that's interesting. I think it's kind of neat. There's probably some company out there that could make a brand of, like, we make the googly eyes for food, and make a branded character that they put on that you could just buy their stickers and put on everything. That would be pretty neat. Let me see. I think, is there any other stories here? We saw that one. San Gabriel Valley sees early surge in tiny black flies that bite human eyes. As cool as that sounds, I think I'm going to save that one maybe for when Birdman and I talk. Actually, yeah, we'll grab that one. Let's grab that story and take a quick look-see, because that sounds horrifying, and we usually try to end something on a story a little similar to that. So as it stands, let's take a look. San Gabriel Valley sees early surge of tiny black flies that bite human eyes. This is from ABC7 Eyewitness News. They're posting this. So in California. Okay. Experts describe the insects as smaller than mosquitoes, but far more aggressive. They aim for the eyes, and their bite is painful. Good fucking God. They're biting black flies, and these are different than your regular housefly, said Inez Diaz with the San Gabriel Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District. Unlike common houseflies, black flies are drawn to human breath and the salty moisture around the eyes. Diaz noted that while the black flies can transmit river blindness, the risk does not apply locally. Good Lord. They are a vector for river blindness, which is a disease you can transmit, but that's not something we see here. It's mostly known in other parts of the world. Here, it's mostly a nuisance. Still, the bites are unsettling. Vector control technicians are targeting black fly larvae in local riverbeds where the flies thrive in fast-moving water. What stands out of the season is the timing. Typically, black flies appear in May with another surge in August, but their presence in late March is raising concerns. Black flies can travel up to 5 miles and live for as long as 2 months. To avoid bites, experts recommend wearing DEET-based insect repellent and using a hat with a face net. Homeowners with water features are advised to turn them off for 24 hours. We disrupt the potential breeding. Black flies. I have stories. Our family, my grandparents owned a cottage up in Haliburton Highlands here, which is where I live in southwestern Ontario, specifically now, would be about a 3.5 hour drive, I think, from here, because it was almost 2 hours from Toronto, and we're about an hour. Yeah, it's probably about a 3.5 hour drive. And there were certain times of the year where you didn't want to go there during black fly season. I think it was May or something. Basically, when they would go to open the cottage up each summer, they owned it from like the early 70s until 1996, when my grandfather had a major stroke and he decided to sell the cottage while he was still around. And he was smart. He sold it. And then a year later, he had another stroke and passed away. But I had my childhood from the time I was born in 87 until 96, basically until I was 9 years old. I spent every summer, probably 2 weeks at the beginning of summer and 2 weeks at the end of summer. So sometime from beginning of June and then the end of August, I basically would spend 2 weeks up there with my grandparents and 2 weeks up there with my parents when my parents would come up for their vacation, when they get time off work. And I spent every summer up there, maybe even more weekends. So, you know, I spent a lot of my childhood up there, and I had friends that were cottage friends. You know, you only met them at the cottage, and there were horse flies that would bite you, and they sucked. There were mosquitoes everywhere. I was never really there. They wouldn't let me go up during black fly season, and it wasn't that bad there, but it was bad in other parts. They were lucky at the lake they were on. It wasn't too bad, but like black flies, they used to go after my grandmother much more than my grandfather. For whatever reason, they went after her. And I remember her argument was, she's like, it's my blood. They like my blood. My blood must be sweet or something. And looking at this, when they say, what did we see here? They go after, what is it? They go after the eyes. Stands out in season timing. Travel to 2 months to avoid bites. Recommend. Where was it here we were looking at? I'm like, black fly. They're drawn to human breath and the salty moisture around the eyes. So it wasn't the sweetness. They were going after, maybe she was saltier or something, but they would go after her, she said, way more than my grandfather. So that's horrifying that they're specifically ones that are targeting eyes, and they're even smaller because black flies are mean little bitches. Like horse flies suck, because a horse fly, when you get hit, okay, if you get bit by like a fly or stung by a bee or whatever, you get the little bite, you're like, ow. A horse fly feels like it's just taking a chunk out of you. It's like, rah! And it's like it's like getting shot by a bullet. It's like, god damn, what the fuck was that? And black flies are worse because they swarm you. There's a whole shit ton of them. They suck. So if they're happening earlier in the year, I don't know, does that mean they're going to have longer times that they're alive, or 2 or 3 times that they they breed instead of just the two, or maybe there's gonna be three. That's not great. But yes, that's the end of my TED talk, the end of my story when it comes to my experience with black flies. It is freaky. That was just a little bonus story that we got here for the weird news. So that's going to do it for the weird news. We're going to take one more break here, go to one final review for myself, and then we'll come back at the end and I'll give sort of a quick update on the programming that's coming later on this week. So, stick right around. We'll be right back here on thisweekingeek.net.
Come one, come all! Here's what's sprouting in the Flower Kingdom! A new power-up! Rosalina and Luma!
Wowie
Assist mode! Double badges! And the Koopalings! And over in the brand new Bellabel Park, Camp Central with the Toad Brigade Training Camp! Do it solo or team up! And speaking of teaming up, attractions galore in Attraction Central! Local wireless multiplayer, including game share support, online multiplayer, co-op attractions, versus attractions, lots of collectibles! And there's still so much more to experience. So what are you waiting for? The Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Meetup in Bellabel Park game is available now on the Nintendo Switch 2 system. Nintendo Switch 2 players who already have Super Mario Bros. Wonder on Nintendo Switch can upgrade to the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition by purchasing the upgrade pack. 3 amiibo figures from Super Mario Bros. Wonder are also available now.
Alex, the producer here, and our friends at Nintendo Canada have sent a review copy of the upgrade pack for Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This is the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Meetup in Bellabel Park pack. Now, this is available in a couple different versions, so if you don't already have, the original version on Switch 1, you can purchase a Switch 2 edition that bundles like the base game plus the expansion and all the upgrades, features, and all that fun stuff. Or if you're somebody like myself who had the Switch 1 version, the original version that launched, you can purchase an upgrade pack for it, which $30-ish, depending on your region. Obviously, the States will be a little different than our listeners overseas in Europe and other areas, but at least within Canada, it's a $30 upgrade pack, and that gives you access to the Switch 2 version. So we already did a review of Mario Wonder. It was a fantastic game. It's going to be like legendary status. We know in the future this is like the high mark for 2D, or at least, the 2D plane as in like how you play, left to right Mario games. It's sort of the high point of that over the last 20 years or so. And we hope to see more, in the franchise in that style, or more innovation coming forward. The Elephant Mario is going to be something that I just love for a very long time, and the whole gameplay mechanic there. Now, what do you get if you're upgrading to the Switch 2? Well, the Switch 2 version has... as I mentioned, the Bellabel Park, it's mostly a multiplayer upgrade. There is some single player stuff added, but you get to explore mysterious ruins with the multiplayer attractions in Bellabel Park, which is it has like a little overworld you can go to, and when you jump in, you can play multiplayer mini games and levels and stuff with friends. You do have to sort of like set up your own room for it. There's not like a global like pulling from people. You have to set up a room, invite friends in, and go on from there. There is 7 Koopalings that you fight with added boss courses that are scattered throughout the Flower Kingdom. You can choose from larger cast of characters. In this version of the game, they added Rosalina and Luna to the existing cast that was already there. There is a super flower pot power-up to transform into a flower form, and then throw flowers at enemies. There's a game share local feature, so if somebody else has a Switch 2 with you, you're both in the same room, only one of you owns a copy of the game, you can game share with the other person, and they can play in the multiplayer with only having one cartridge purchased, which is cartridge or digital copy purchase, which is awesome. I like that that's a feature that they've added, obviously, within the ecosystem for Switch 2 if it's enabled. There is ability to unlock dual badges that grant the effects of 2 different badges at once, whereas previously you only had the ability to use one. There's been some minor upgrades as far, like there was already the option recently to use like a boost mode on Switch 1 titles when playing portable, which upgraded the resolution to the same that with docked. So what you're getting here is in docked mode, it's going to be the same resolution as the Switch 1. I'll just be right up and say that. But you're getting a more consistent frame rate. It was already pretty solid before, but now you're getting basically a lock 60. And when you're playing it in docked mode on the Switch 2, you're getting up to 4K, like native resolution 4K, 60 FPS, 0 frame rate drops. It is the most rock solid gameplay you can possibly imagine. It would have been nice if there was a nice to have. It would have been nice to have a portable mode that allows for 120 hertz, seeing as the actual Switch 2 screen is native 120, which would be even more fluid, but that's at least not available as of right now. Maybe they'll update it with a patch down in the future, but as it stands, it's 60 FPS solid on whatever format you play it on. You play it in docked or handheld. I didn't have any issues with stuttering playing it with multiplayer when I had family over to try it. Pretty solid. If you didn't get the game when it came out and you're looking to pick it up now, this is obviously the best way to go. If you're somebody new to the Switch 2 ecosystem, this is a no-brainer to get. You might look at the upgrade pack and go, $30, is there enough here for me? If you're somebody who played and did absolutely everything in the Switch 1 version back in the day when it came out, and you're not looking to do anything with multiplayer, you might be something you have to consider, like if it's mostly a multiplayer heavy upgrade. So if you're not looking for multiplayer at all, you maybe would wait till there's a sale on it or something. There's a lot of good content there. It just, again, is mostly focused at multiplayer. If you're somebody who even remotely wants to play a little bit of multiplayer, then it's 100% worth it. It's well worth the upgrade. But if you're somebody who is very strict and is like, I don't play multiplayer, I don't want to play multiplayer, then this may not be for you, at least at this time. But as it stands, it is a pretty good value, and I can totally recommend it.
Those magnificent bastards! Color me kooky, but something very odd is going on around here.
You're not allowed to talk anymore.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for the show this week. Well, what do we have coming up? Well, I'm actually working on a whole heck of a bunch of Earth vs. Soups. Now that episode 300 was out as of last week, we got the new artwork for it already going. We got the new intro for it. I am working on producing the next batch of several weeks worth, potentially next several months worth, because we actually have 123 other episodes already ready, like raw recordings ready to go, because we only release one a week. Occasionally, if Aaron and Darlene watch 2 or 3 movies a week, we'll get 2 or 3 movies, or sometimes every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll get a batch of like 5 or 7 episodes. So, and that happens multiple times a year. So if we're only releasing one at a time, they start to bank up pretty well. So we've actually got the next couple of years worth. And there's going to be some that we end up putting in that are special episodes that are more topical. We bump them in, but a lot of these are evergreen things, right? With really cool ideas. So because of that, I've got to edit the next little bit. This week, I'll be putting episode 301 out, which is Invasion of the Blood Farmers from 1972. And the following week, just as a preview, we have The Man Who Turned to Stone from 1957. Beyond that, we'll be putting them out. We're not going to do a lot of times, like in the past, we've done like double weeks where we've had to put 2 episodes out at a time. We might do that when we go on a break at some point, or if there's a special episode of some sort that we want to put out. But that is pretty much it when it comes to, we're going to be consistent every Thursday, 7 in the morning. The website, I think we'll get it at 8, depending on the time shifting that happens there. But that's sort of the plan as to what we're doing. We have a spellbook episode for Wednesday, which is TWIG's The Spellbook episode 9, what are some games we want to play? That's sort of the subtitle for it there. That airs on CFRU Radio at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. You can listen to it live on the radio or on through internet streaming radio, as well as terrestrial regular radio. And then we will syndicate it if you miss it and you want to listen to it on the regular feed that you're listening to right now. That comes usually somewhere between 4 and 5 p.m., depending on how long the episode was. We syndicate it there. We also will be having another TMNT Loose Cannon episode, I believe, for Easter weekend. We're not doing a regular show, like we're not doing other programming on that weekend. We should have something Easter Monday, maybe Tuesday at the latest if we have a regular show or we have a review show, something in that place. We're just not 100% sure just yet when it comes to the recording schedule there. But that is pretty much it right now. A lot of cool stuff coming. Birdman's always looking to do interviews as well as other shows. We've got plenty of Loose Cannon. Some Future Imperfects are planned. We've got Random Access Memories, a bunch of other stuff that we're going to be spreading out sporadically throughout the year. We're going to have that Mortal Kombat discussion that was recorded like 6 months ago finally come out shortly before the movie goes to theaters. So that'll be interesting. That's something that's been uploaded and just been held on to. Birdman's like, hold on to that till the movie comes out. So that'll be coming over the next, I think, 4 weeks or so, I think at the end of the month. So we'll see. But that's going to do it right now for us here. So please come back next week and join us again right here at thisweekingeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.